This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 207. This week, Brad and I try to figure out what would Transformers look like if we replaced them with dinosaurs when we watch an episode of the series Dinosaurs.
Oh, the Bossosaurus is gonna love this. A dinosaur show. I must inform Genghis Rex of this. And Kylo to Tar Pits too. Come in.
What's your news, Kylo?
I've just discovered dinosaurs in a place called Worldwide Studios.
Good job, Kylo. These dinosaurs could be very useful to us. We must contact them and make them our allies.
But your scaliness, what if they don't like us?
Then we'll dino-nap them. We must get them out of the hands of humans.
The day just keeps getting better. Boy.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show. Wanted to thank you for joining us once again this week to talk all about some cartoons. Man, I got that intro down. Like the intro is the same every single week.
Mm-hmm. It's probably pre-recorded.
Yeah, you guys have heard that one before because I say it every single week. I'm Jake Williams. That other voice you hear on the other line, my good buddy and fellow animator Brad Chmielewski. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
It's going well. This week I picked a weird one. I don't really know where I was going with this.
Yeah, I don't even know where you came across this. This show shouldn't be on the internet, and maybe Shirt Tails should be.
Already the review is that Brad is swapping this for Shirt Tails in terms of how rare something should truly be in finding a cartoon. You know, I think I did one of those, cartoons that came out in this era, and I was like, I want to watch something from the 80s. Something about the 80s. Everything's radical. There's lots of lasers sometimes. There's lots of just fighting, but it's like, it's play fighting by today's standards, you know? I wanted something like that. And, of course, that's what we got this week, talking about an episode of Dinosaurs, something that I had never heard of in my life.
Never heard of it either. Didn't know it was a show, but it falls in the realm of all the shows just like it.
Yeah, and we've covered a lot of shows from this era where, you know, the 80s, maybe early 90s, where you could tell the show was kind of built to sell something. Like,
right.
Regardless of what happened. Like, I could picture these being actual toys. And actually, I guess there were originally plans for a company to make toys of Dinosaurs, but the prototype figures were actually produced, so they got a few of them made, but they were scrapped after the show was canceled. So it's like someone went as far as to produce them, but they never got sold, it sounds like.
And they're like, oh, this show's not doing well. Don't bother.
Wait a second. You're telling me Dinosaurs isn't still around?
But it just feels like a dinosaur version of Transformers.
Yeah, I could see that. Just something about the way that it... Something about the way that it feels like everybody... There's a bunch of characters, so you'll probably like them. I don't know. Stuff like that.
Okay.
I guess the guy that created it, Michael E. Uslan, was actually a writer on some of the Batman movies and stuff currently, or not currently, but more recently, I guess. But it's kind of funny that when you look at his profile, like I go to his Wikipedia page, and basically the creator has all of these things, and then there's a footnote that's like, yeah, and he created the series called Dinosaurs in the 80s. On to the next thing.
Afterthought, like, I guess we got to put that in, right?
Yeah, should we tell people he made it? Yeah. The series is co-produced in the United States and Canada, created by Michael Uslan, as I mentioned, and also DIC Entertainment. Originally aired in syndication in the U.S. in 1987 by Coca-Cola Telecommunications. So apparently Coca-Cola had a media arm at that point. That's not surprising, actually, right?
It's not surprising now. I'm sure they do now, but it's weird that they're kicking out stuff for like broadcast that's not just like content for them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's good. Yeah, can you imagine going to like Coke.com to watch your favorite cartoons?
Right, yeah. I bet they're working on that.
I don't know. I bet maybe not cartoons, but I bet content like we're a lifestyle brand. We're Coca-Cola. Like we need our own shows. And when they produce the episodes, they're actually, dude, if you had to take a stab at how many episodes of Dinosaurs were produced, what would you think?
I want to say 2, but it was probably like 56.
Yeah, 65. So you were real close.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And I guess it was only one season, so they just made them. It showed when they were premiered on Wikipedia. If you go look up Dinosaurs on the different episodes, they basically lasted in the entirety of a year or like a fall. So the guys who made these just grinded them out, it looks like.
Jeez, okay.
So yeah, 65 total episodes. And so let's get into, I guess, a little bit about what you can expect from the Dinosaurs, what the show is about. Once again, once we get to the episode, after reading all of this, I feel like we just got a weird one again. Like we missed some of the major characters that were probably important.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So the show Dinosaurs, it follows the Dinosaurs and their battles against the evil Tyrannos. The Dinosaurs are also allied with 4 humans who are known as the Secret Scouts. We'll talk about them, but we only see one of them in the episode we watched today. These 2 groups originally came from a planet in a counter-Earth orbit that's known as Reptilon. Both groups have a centralized base of operations, with the Dinosaurs base being called Lava Dome, which is in an old like volcano, which is sweet.
Yeah.
And Tyrannos base is located under a tar pit because they're bad guys and they got to be underground. Well, volcano's kind of underground too, in a way. And all the Dinosaurs, here's an interesting thing that never came back in the series. All the Dinosaurs have a button on the front of their uniforms, which instantly devolves them, which is called dino-volving in the series, into their primitive ancestors' dinosaur state while retaining their intelligence and speech capacity. And the article mentioned that despite this apparent technological advantage, none of the later episodes after like episode 2 showed them dino-volving at all. So it sounds like they had the power to, if you picture what the Dinosaurs are, they're these anthropomorphic dinosaurs who stand upright and have suits on. They're like, I don't know, they're like crime-fighting dinosaurs with like technology. Apparently they had the power to hit a button, they could still be intelligent and still talk, but they would be like as strong as their ancestors were. They wouldn't be like human-sized or something. And then they just never brought that back.
Okay, because, yeah, that was my thought watching it. I'm like, man, why are the dinosaurs so tiny? Like, they're the size of humans. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
They felt a lot like people in dinosaur costumes. Especially considering this episode, I think they felt a lot more like people in dinosaur costumes. And so, the characters we have the Dinosaurs, of course, who are, we only met 2 of them in our episode. This is crazy that there's so many of them. But there's Allo, Demetro, Bronto Thunder, Stego, Tricero, Bonehead, Itchy, and T-Rex. Which T-Rex looks like it's Terry X, which I want to call him that instead.
Yeah.
And in this episode, we only meet Stego, who's a Stegosaurus, and Bonehead, who is exactly that, a bonehead.
Yeah, they're both dummies.
Yeah. Secret Scouts are the 4 humans that they're aligned with. They're basically these 4 kids who have different attributes, and I guess there's 4 of them total. Ryan Spencer and Sarah Spencer, brother and sister. They seem to be the main ones. However, they weren't in this episode. There was Paul and David as well. David's the one that we see in this episode. He's the dark-haired kid that kind of helps them.
Okay.
And then the Tyrannos, we have Genghis Rex, who's the leader, Princess Day, who was added later in the series to Met, literally so that both factions had 8 characters, so that they were even. Ankleo, Quackpat, wait, I said that totally wrong. Quackpot, Quackpat. Brachio, Styraco, Plesio, and Terrible Dactyl.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, and I think this episode we only see a couple of them. I can't even quite remember who it was, but it's like the pig face looking guy and the leader, right? Mm-hmm. So the entire series follows basically the Dinosaurs are on Earth now, but so are Tyrannos, and so they battle each other. And I'm not sure what the ultimate goal of the Tyrannos is. I would guess destroy the Dinosaurs, destroy or control Earth.
Right, and Dinosaurs are there to protect the humans, which is exactly the plot of the Transformers.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see where this came from. I think Transformers was a few years prior to this too, so it's easy to see where a show like this might have come around.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But they know that there was dinosaurs once on the Earth that went away. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can totally get wrapped up in like how meta this could possibly be.
Right.
Do the dinosaurs know that they were once here? However, they're suddenly. I want to know how they got to Earth. Like, maybe I had to watch episode 1, but.
Right. Are they from another planet? Are they from another dimension? Are they from another reality?
Or yeah, like what? At what point did we decide as humans, like, hey, we need some help here? I don't know, a distress signal to some dinosaurs or something. I'm not sure. Who knows?
No, it's like in the Transformers, they had to leave their planet, so they probably were getting to the planet, but then the other ones were there, like to protect the humans, basically from the bad ones from taking it over.
Right. I love the idea, by the way, that you're going to do whatever you can to basically be like, well, here's Transformers, but put dinosaurs in. That's the show. That's your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels that way. Let's try to get through an episode of Dinosaurs. We picked episode 4, season 1, well, the only season. It's called Hooray for Hollywood. So right off the bat, you should know this is probably more of a fun episode of the series, not necessarily a serious one where there's like a serious problem. Also state right off the bat, as a theme of the show, what I gathered was, this has got to be, especially Toon Talk Weekly, the shows we've covered, this has got to be the most pun-laden groaner of jokes, like rimshot jokes, I've ever seen in a cartoon.
Like it's rough. Like it was just everything was a one-liner.
Like I got to the point where there were like 4 or 5 in a row during one scene where I finally started laughing pretty hard because I was like, okay, guys, sure, keep going. And it's weird that we get this thing in this episode where we follow the adventures of Stego and Bonehead, and like you said, they're both dummies, but they're the heroes. Why are we like following the heroes being totally dumb?
I don't know.
Super weird. So we begin the episode actually in the lair of the Dinosaurs, and David is there with Stego and Bonehead, and he's actually teaching them wrestling moves, which is kind of hilarious. So think about the time this was made, right? This is also made in a time where wrestling was really popular, and so it's something that most people in the world probably knew about. And it's not alluded to that wrestling, pro wrestling, for instance, is like scripted in a way. But here he's like, oh, you use the other guy's leverage, and that's how you body slam him. I don't know. I love the scene that I was like, first of all, Dinosaurs, pretty sweet. Currently at work, we're doing some fun dinosaur illustrations this summer. So that's topical. But then also wrestling, this show was made for me, and I don't know how I feel about this show. Kind of a weird opening scene, but it comes back. There's a reason.
Just needed pizza in here, and you'd be all set.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that wasn't there, right? And so the episode is basically that. It begins there, and then also the Tyrannos say, hey, the Dinosaurs are in the area. We got to get them. As you would in this entire series. But what is it? Oh, it's here's them being dummies. The dinosaurs. It's a perfect example. David says, well, hey, that's enough of the body slam lesson here. I'm going to go to a movie, and shows him a newspaper, and then leaves, and the bonehead dinosaur says, hey, don't forget your movie, and throws him the newspaper. Like,
right.
Wah, wah.
I've had enough of this.
Hey, where you going?
To this great new movie. It's supposed to be really hot.
It doesn't feel hot to me.
You know, Bonehead, sometimes you're a real bonehead. I'll catch you guys later.
Don't you want your movie?
That's not the movie. It's a newspaper. It's just an ad for the movie.
Let's see. What ads, huh? Wanted. Babysitter. Bonehead, why do they sit on babies?
Beats me.
And then the plot of the episode becomes when Stego and Bonehead are like, well, now what do we do? David's gone for a few hours. They see in this newspaper an ad for, apparently on a Hollywood lot somewhere, there's a dinosaur exhibit that looks really cool. They want to go see the secrets of the dinosaurs or something. And they said, hey, why don't we go meet some dinosaurs? Like, that sounds something we do. It's like a meetup to them.
Yeah, like, let's go find some Earth dinosaurs and see what's up, man. I thought they were all gone.
Yeah.
Guess not.
And what follows is a few minutes of scenes here where they actually fly their, like, spaceship type thing, their jet, land in a park outside of this Hollywood lot, and literally 2 dinosaurs are walking a Hollywood lot. They even go into an actress's trailer, And the woman is
but
like...
this was like the equivalent of like, hey, mom's got to run to the store for a minute. Kids, I'm going to trust you're going to be home, like, safe for a minute. And, of course, they're not. It's like, where are the other, 6 Dinosaurs?
Right.
Saucers, and where are the other 3 kids at? Like, that's why when you were naming off people in the show, it all went over my head because it made absolutely no sense that none of them were here.
Oh, and I've seen just as much Dinosaurs as you, so I can say I don't know those names either. I just thought I'd put them on the record. So they go to this Hollywood backlot. They scare an actress who thinks they're like extras in costumes or something. They end up in kind of like a wax museum, like a history museum, where they don't actually say what any of the Hollywood like statues are of. But there's like a Marilyn Monroe one, there's a Superman one, there's like an Indiana Jones one. It's very famous films are being featured in these.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like they're total babies. They're wimps. They're totally scared of like there's a Frankenstein one or something that falls on him. And he's like, oh, it came for me. Like, this is literally 2 children took the car, went to the zoo or like a museum, and they're totally petrified.
Mm-hmm. So then they can also talk, but the kid in the beginning, that's part of their crew, he could understand them.
Right.
But it did not seem like anyone else understood what they were saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that because they have some link with these suits that the kids also, I think, had outfits or something, but do they have some sort of way of like, we're the humans who will help communicate to the Dinosaurs. Here's what you need to do to help us.
Maybe.
I don't know how deep it goes, basically. So while they're doing that, they finally find the dinosaur cave, right? And they're like, this must be where the dinosaurs are. Let's go say hi to our new friends. Meanwhile, Tyrannos and the 2 evil guys are actually trying to track them down. And also, David has come home and is like, I wonder where they went. Here's a newspaper article with the page flipped open to some dinosaur exhibit. They must be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And of course, we do get a scene inside of the dinosaur cave, this exhibit of a dinosaur cave, where Bonehead and Stego meet the dinosaurs, who are these prosthetic dinosaurs on train, tracks that basically come out. And if you were touring this studio and going to see this exhibit, they just kind of like roll by. And that's
it. What a awful tour, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the crowd was pretty not enthused in like the next couple minutes when our Dinosaurs have to take the place of these people on the tracks. They're like, oh, whatever. These guys kind of stink. You should have saw what was here earlier.
That's true.
Two cutouts on a cardboard track.
Yeah, that's what they would have seen, but the Dinosaurs, as you mentioned, like they basically go, we're dinosaurs. They just do like a silly dance. Dude, you're actual dinosaurs. Like, you can act like them. You should know how to.
Right. And then I love the one scene where this little kid is like, Mom, I want to give my ice cream cone to the dinosaurs. And she's like, that's great. Sharing is always good.
Yeah.
It's like, well, first off, you're just gonna, if these were actors, you're just gonna let your kid give it to them.
Yeah.
But we know they're real dinosaurs. It's like, I want to give my ice cream to that monkey, that gorilla in there. Oh yeah, go ahead. But also, she also just chucks it at him.
Yeah. If I'm that mom,
what a jerk kid.
I'm saying, Timmy, I spent $16 on that ice cream at this very expensive park. You're not giving it away.
Right. He probably gets free ice cream because he works here. He doesn't need you giving him your ice cream.
Look at him. He's had enough ice cream. Okay.
Yeah, he's fat.
Whoa! Sheesh! They could have at least got my good side.
Can I give the nice dinosaur my ice cream, Mommy?
That's very nice of you, dear. It's always good to share.
Here, Mr. Dinosaur.
Oh no! Are you okay?
I guess so. I just wish it was Seaweed Ripple.
This is also where 2 of the Tyrannos like show up as they're being confronted with like an audience, basically seeing the dinosaurs or the Dinosaurs here. And a woman just straight up walks up to this monstrous dinosaur and is like, oh, the rubber looks so cheap, and is like stretching his face and like pulling on his ear. It's just like the whole episode is built on this idea of like, oh, since they're on a Hollywood lot, no one's going to think they're real, so the Dinosaurs and Tyrannos can actually be here.
Right.
there's a little bit of a skirmish here near the end of the episode where Bonehead and Stego actually have to fight off the Tyrannos. The Tyrannos also end up seeing the fake dinosaurs on the tracks. Gosh, I don't even remember. Like they basically fought their way out of this, but it was so unintentional. Like the Dinosaurs win the day by having like the dinosaurs on the track show up, or a guy gets his head stuck in like a light post kind of thing. Oh, it's the tour guide lady ends up like beating up one of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, it was just like, what?
Yeah.
And then you like look back on the rest of the episode and you're like, what?
Yeah, a whole lot of weird happens. Finally, David shows up, and that was the best thing that could have happened because he zips him out of there.
Yeah, he's like, hurry up, I grabbed their gun, their laser gun, and we're out, guys.
Yeah. And they literally like go home. That's the end of the episode. Like, don't leave when I'm not here again, basically, is what the moral of the story is. Guys, season 1, episode 4 of Dinosaurs. Hooray for Hollywood. Kind of a weird one. We've mentioned the puns. We've mentioned sort of the characters and what we know about them. But
and it was so 80s. The characters of the humans were even like glam rock synth 80s.
Yeah.
Like whole look to them too. It was like, oh my gosh, like just crazy.
Lots of big hair for sure.
Yeah.
Brad, what was your thought on the episode and the show as a whole? We know you think it's Transformers, but after we've gotten through an episode, what do you think?
It's terrible. The voices are the worst. I could hardly listen to the dinosaurs. These two in particular. So I don't know if the other dinosaurs have like a better voice or a more interesting voice, but both of these two dinosaurs were very whiny and just high pitched.
Yeah.
And it was hard to listen to.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried that we picked an episode where we didn't get the leader, who is actually Allo of the Dinosaurs. So we didn't get like a responsible Dinosaur here. What we got was like the two comedy guys.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, it's kind of tough to evaluate exactly what we should think of this episode because, look, the parallels to Transformers and shows like it from the 80s are very apparent. Building teams of good guys and bad guys so that down the line, if there's a video game or toys or anything like that, you can kind of pick who you root for, and you can pick the character that kind of most aligns with what you believe and what you think and how you feel and all that stuff.
All right, yeah.
I think Turtles refined that a little bit when they did like, let's only put 4 people. You're the smart guy, you're the leader, you're the tough guy, you're the funny guy. Like that's, pick one. But when you get an episode like this where apparently there's this big space story where they came from some other planet and they helped do this thing, but we didn't really get a serious episode. I think we got more of a fun one. And I have a habit of picking those for sure. It's fine. It's not the worst show we've watched, but I know what you mean. It's definitely
way down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on this episode.
There are other shows from that time that feel like the production and especially the nostalgia and your attachment to the characters feel a lot better. I'm supposed to like the Dinosaurs. They're supposed to be my heroes as I'm watching them. But I got these two idiots getting ice cream thrown at them and running into cardboard cutouts at a studio. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
So, not sure where we sit on Dinosaurs. It's, it's whatever. Go see it if you want to see something just weird from the 80s. Something about it doesn't fit, and I kind of just want to watch more Shirt Tales because of it. Like, this show is driving me to finish the DVD.
To watch another not so great. Like, well, this one's at least a little better, so I'll watch this cartoon instead.
Yeah, it was a little tough one, but email us in, toontalkweekly@gmail.com. If you guys remember Dinosaurs, if you'd seen the show, I doubt anybody had any action figures because it sounds like they weren't actually made, but I would love to hear if this was a show that you actually loved or remember at all, because Brad and I are totally new to this, and I got to be honest, we're probably not going to watch anymore ever again. So let's get out of here. I can't talk about it anymore. Brad, where can people find you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
You can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great. Guys, go check them out there. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter @JacobWilliams and Toon Talk Weekly. If you want more of us online, we're on Twitter @Toon Talk Weekly, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're over on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. As just mentioned, you want to email the show, let us know a cartoon you'd like us to talk about that maybe we haven't yet. Or we've talked about maybe revisiting some shows, but we're not quite there yet. There's still 6,000 cartoons we haven't gotten to. So toontalkweekly@gmail.com is the place to send that in. And of course, toontalkweekly.com, the main hub for the show. You can find all the cartoons we've done, over 207 episodes on the homepage. It's alphabetical for you guys, so it's pretty easy to find over at toontalkweekly.com. So that's it for this week. Brad found a show for next week because Brad just stumbles on all these great looking shows. We're going to do a show called Counterfeit Cat. Have you checked any of this out yet, Brad?
I've watched one episode, and that's it so far.
Cool. The style looks great. It looks pretty new, if not very new. But I can't wait to dive into it. Sometimes when you go to an old show and you didn't really love it, the next week it's just going to be better because we get to do a brand new show, So,
yeah.
Cool. So that's going to be it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you once again for joining us. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @toontalkweekly.